The HGC continues with the Playing Ducks taking on Tricked Esports. Tricked Esports currently leading with a 1 to goose egg.
The interesting thing about Tricked is that right now, apparently, they're also doing extremely well in scrims. They've been talking a lot about how they feel very confident, how they have now picked up a lot of momentum with the recent victories they had, and they seem to be in a really happy place. It also shows in every single interview that we have, they just enjoy life right now.
Yeah, they feel confident. It looks like a team that's playing a video game, but also they're taking it very seriously, which is something that we expected from this team since week number 1, and the last 3 weeks in particular has probably been some of the best heroes I've seen them play.
Yeah, and Alex literally in an interview said, we just decided after the first part we need to stop sucking right now. His words, and since then they stepped up their game. They said they practice a whole lot more, they practice differently, they are way intenser in the way they approach every single scrim, every single game, and it just shows. It has netted them a couple of victories, and now they are just rising through the ranks, and they are starting to aim for that number 4 spot at this point.
Well, on the other hand, the Playing Ducks need to secure a win. Let's find out which battleground they may be going to for Game 2. In fact, Trick Esport will choose a battleground. The Playing Ducks looking to get first pick. We are going to Infernal Shrines. Now, we've been talking about Trick Esport. The Playing Ducks have mentioned and gone on record before in the past that they just want to be in the middle of the pack. They're okay with that for this part of the season, and then focusing towards getting better as they prolong and go into phase number 2. The problem is they're starting to get to a point where they're falling pretty dramatically. If they lose this series, they could be at a point where maybe they take the second spot in the Crucible.
It's definitely a good issue that you bring up here. They need to be very careful. And in the first part of the season, I think they had a very good run. But a lot of the teams are starting to adapt now way better. And this is an issue for them. So they were a bit surprising in the first part. A lot of teams that didn't expect them to be this strong. They also underestimated Sportbilly quite a bit, who came in for Raid Boss, who was originally part of the setup. And right now, it feels like teams are having their number a bit to a certain extent.
Yeah, they really are. Locking down Sportbilly, as you mentioned last week, has been a really major theme in a lot of these matchups. Every time he gets locked down, it seems like the Playing Ducks start to fall behind a little bit. So maybe we need a little bit more playmaking. Maybe Nande on the Haka needs to come in for these rotations.
The Haka is actually a very good point that you bring up here, since on Infernal Shrines, I think every time we see them play, they try to put Nande on the Haka, and he normally has a very good effect when it comes to the macro, but we have seen last week at least a few problems when the engagements were supposed to happen. If you go in with the Haka and you miss the Tong, then you find yourself in a bit of an awkward spot here at times. The Ducks, on the other hand, they're doing, at least for now, the same thing that we already saw them do in the earlier game. They ban out Arthurs first of all, not only because Alex is so good on the hero, Arthurs in general in the European meta is very highly positioned, and on this map in particular, he's of course amazing, so it's a very good ban on their end.
Nope, on our side, Playing Ducks take the first pick, and they elect to grab the Gold Ant, the Clearer of Waves and the Horrify Master. And to be honest, taking it away here from Crosby on Trick Esport is probably a good idea. He hit some pretty important Horrifies in that matchup where they went for isolation and tried to get pickoffs.
Yeah. I'm looking for Medivh again. I want to see what happens with Medivh. Playing Ducks, they like to play that hero on Infernal Shrines. It's one of the go-to heroes that we have for Sportbilly. It's either going to be Medivh or Falstad for him on this map, usually, unless the Playing Ducks have come up with something different that they want to show here. But if Medivh is being picked up by the Playing Ducks, so let's put it like this. If Playing Ducks don't pick up the Medivh now, I'm very curious to see if Trick Esports is banning him.
Yeah, it's either going to be the False or the Medivh now. I agree with you. They have to get it now, or it's not going to be something here that the Playing Ducks are going to probably get in later on. Trick Esport on their side, too. They left the global up. They banned out Tassadar, so that means if False does get picked up, Trick Esport has a chance to go for a ban on Dahaka, so there's no double globals, or grab it themselves. And Alex Aprogi in the past has ran Dahaka, so it's all about what the Playing Ducks want to put on Sportbilly, and I agree with you. You got to pick it up now, or it's going to start getting banned out.
Other heroes that we also can watch out for, Johanna could be a thing here. Not necessarily in this rotation, but a Nuborak being picked for Tricked already shows a little bit that they're probably going to pick up a second frontliner. Yeah. Alex loves to be on the second tank these days, where he has a bit more playmaker potential, and not on the main tank. Normally he tries to be on the Nuborak. And we see Sonya played with the Zarya. Okay, so that is already a bit of a game changer here on the side of the Playing Ducks. Zarya and Zonya, of course, still asking the questions, are we going to see a main tank together with that? We usually should, so that would... this could actually put Sportbilly on the Sonya even.
Yeah, he usually runs a Zarya. He's done it a few times in the past. The problem with his Zarya, it's not as much of a playmaker as the other heroes that you mentioned. The Medivh, the Zeratul to a degree, even the Falstad. And honestly, it has a losing win record for the Playing Ducks. I believe it was 0-3 the last time that I checked. So that could be the pickup here for Sportbilly, but we'll have to see how that pans out.
This is actually a really interesting start. Also, this is really the perfect setup where we could see Horrify into Leap.
True.
We have seen that before. It's something that was run just last week, and it basically guarantees you a kill. If the Horrify is decent, you have a kill right there. You cannot miss the Leap. That's impossible if their target is horrified. And then you can go...
Not impossible, but yes, you shouldn't miss it.
Okay, on this level, on this level, it should be impossible on this level of play. So unless you get stunned while you're trying to make your play, you should make that work. If you actually leap and you don't hit a target that is walking in a straight line and completely disabled, then either you need to get your eyes checked or you need to get replaced.
So you're saying I shouldn't play Sonya anymore? That's what you're telling me. I
was talking about
leaps.
HGC, but I haven't really seen your Sonya yet. Not from everything that you tell me about Artanis, Murky, and Probius, I'm not so sure.
All right. We'll show you. I'll get you some replays, man. You'll see my Sonya as I miss those duels. I just like to yell it, man. I'm more about that. Okay, so yes, the Gul'dan Sonya combo is great. Sylvanas has been banned out. Sylvanas has actually been being picked up a lot lately in EU. She's making a resurgence back in the Infernal Shrines, in particular, Tomb of the Spider Queen as well. Just really trying to end those games early if you ever do win the extra Shrine phase. In particular, the Playing Ducks were actually in a pretty good spot to win those Shrine phases, so I'm not sure if they had to ban out the Sylvanas, actually.
I think one of the reasons why they plan it out is because heroes like Sonya really pick up towards the later stages of the game.
Sure.
So you want to just reach the late game if you can. A lot of the heroes that they have get huge spikes. They scale very well into the late game.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why they are banning Sylvanas out might be because they are simply saying Sylvanas is a hero that accelerates games a lot if the opponent wins the early game. So they want to take that away and want to make sure that they head into this product.
That's a really good point. Ooh, so we get the fall set here, picked up by Trinity Esport. They also grab the Tyrael. So now they have Sanctification, so they have tools that save their teammates in two different ways. One, if a Sonya Leap is picked up, you can have Sanct to follow up to save your teammate, particularly the Lucio, but also a Horrify. Say someone gets pulled out of the Horrify and goes in the wrong direction. Tyrael dives in, gives him a shield. If he needs to, he can burn the Sanctification.
Yeah. There is a lot that they can do with this now, and this is already catering towards that potential that the Ducks have. Now, keep in mind, of course, they don't have to go Leap. They can still go into Wrath of the Berserker, and they will have a great combo here. It's just one of those new combos that we have seen come up, that you're trying to Horrify into a Leap, or that you play a lot more around Leap Sonya. If I would have said that sentence, say, 3 months ago, people would have been thinking, this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
But we actually see that right now being played, and if you execute it nicely, and if you can execute it well, then your opponent is having a big issue. But you can still go Wrath of the Berserker and just simply aim to have solid positioning on those shrines and win the objective.
Well, Malfurion should be picked up here for support for the Playing Ducks. Let's figure out who our next one's going to be. There's a Malfurion, and there's a Johann you alluded to. So we have a triple warrior, double bruiser more like, with Johanna being that wave clear, and they are just going full out on the Shrine phase here.
Yeah, they also have a very, very strong front line. It's a very beefy setup that they run, which normally leads us back into that domination on the shrines. It's a great thing that they banned out the Arthurs. Not only, I mean, there's like 5 reasons now to ban the Arthurs. It's not only that Trick loves to play him, that he's strong, but he's also fantastic against what they are running right now. So that is going to be pretty decent here. But what are we going to see for Tricks? I mean, they still need a bit more damage, and usually you would see a mage there. I'm tempted to throw the Kel'Thas into the mix, but at the same time, maybe head into that Vala. There's a lot of targets at the front line. After 16, you have good control. You get a bit more AoE for the fights over the shrines. That could be an option for you.
Yeah, Tychus is kind of sounding to me Zul'jin, maybe in a little bit. Just these heroes you can pick up to burn down these bruisers. However, if you do pick up Zul'jin, the lockdown is going to hurt a lot with the Malfurion route and such. So Vala would be the safest pick here, but it's going to be the Tychus. Trinity Esport, actually, it almost seemed faulty for them. In the first few weeks, they picked Tychus almost every single game, and now we have our comeback here as Tychus is getting picked up here in week 8.
You have a couple of very good arguments for Tychus. You have the bigger they are, so with Lucio together, we've been talking about how great Lucio is for a Tychus that uses the bigger they are, because you are more or less guaranteed to get the entire duration through with auto attacks, and the percentage damage against heroes at that front line is fantastic. You also have very focused fights on this map. So if you go into Odin, you have a very nice focus point where you can just say, okay, we are going to win the Shrine phase or the second part of the Shrine phase now, because I pop my Odin and my opponent will either have to engage into an Odin, which you never really want to do, or they have to back off here. So that's a great tool for them. If you talk about Vala, she has a few other advantages that you could use in this setup. The overall AoE that you can use on the Shrine is great. Level 16 Frost Shot is very cool too against a strong front line because you can just slow the approach of an opponent down. But the Tigers definitely has some very, very good points in this game now.
Yeah, Tigers going to have a lights-out game, though. With Sonya, Zarya, and Johanna potentially being near that area, he will have a hard time. Let's see how it works out for our teams here. Tricked Esports and the Playing Ducks facing off game number 2 in this best-of-5 series.
The game is on, the party started, and Tricked is in the lead. With a 1-0 against the Playing Ducks, we have the blue team starting to the left with Wolfjo on Malfurion. Nande is playing the Sonya. Sport Billy is indeed on the Zarya, and we have Chris on Gul'dan and Chris Splosion on Johanna.
Tricked Esport currently up 1-0 over their opponents. Nape is going to be playing the Lucio. We're going to have Alex Aprogi on Tyrael. Tychus will be played by Crosby. We're going to have a Therno showing off his Falstad gameplay. And last but not least, Rimmer on a Nubarak.
So we indeed have Sport Billy now on Zarya, and we've been talking a bit about him maybe even potentially being on the Sonya, having a bit more of an impact. Zarya will heavily rely on the heroic ability in order to make those playmaking moves. That's something we could see later on. But for now, already Sport Billy trying to just make sure he has enough energy to pack a punch here on the particle grenades here, especially with the stacking talent. But personally, I'm really curious to see what exactly Tyrael can do in this game. Alex loves to play Tyrael, but as he has stated several times in the past, he feels that Tyrael right now is, as a rule of thumb, a bit on the weaker side and not really a top-tier hero. He has to fit with the comp perfectly. So it's interesting to see that they draft him here, and I'm really curious to see how much of an impact Tyrael can have.
Yeah, I do remember that he has that spell armor now, so he's actually be a little bit more aggressive against that Gul'dan. He can deal with the Q build that's coming out, which is pretty prevalent. Also the grenade pokes from the Zarya. So he's going to work out. I think this is one draft that it can be strong, but I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to watch how he makes that work. Right now, he's in the top lane against Sonya, which will be a bit of a pain. Now, Tyrael can handle himself in most lanes, but he won't directly win them. Or not Sonya, especially pushing in.
Yeah, Sonya is actually an absolutely fantastic hero to win lanes. But that Tyrael is really interesting. It's just cool to see that they are willing to draft a hero where they themselves say it's not really a top-tier warrior right now, but that there are certain drafts and certain situations in which he still can function. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. So even though it's not on the top of the tier list, they say this is exactly what we need to make this draft work. And they drafted him then later on just to complement other things and also, of course, counter a bit what we're seeing currently on the other side with that danger of having that Horrify used by Gul'dan.
Well, on the other side, the Playing Ducks playing their comp perfect. Chris Splosion leading the charge with the Johanna. They're clearing out waves. Gul'dan helping out to push out those waves. They even have some pressure in the middle. Every time they get a chance, Sport Billy stands forward, drops a grenade or two on the turret, and they've slowly been chucking it down. But with the Shrine phase popping in here, our teams will fight to move towards level 4, and Nande just hits the E button and clears out all the minions.
It doesn't really look like they're trying to fight, at least for now. It looked like Trick doesn't really care too much about it. They are just pushing. They're just saying, boys, you can have that Shrine, that's totally fine with us. They went into the earlier level 4, and then at least Tyrael made his way back down. But now we have the engage against Malfurion, and Wolfjo is already dead. Goodbye, my friend.
Oh, unfortunate for Wolfjo. He came in for the flank. He wanted to get a root on Crosby right when he used his dash, so there would be a hard time for Tychus to retreat without the help of Nape. However, he missed, so he had the Crosby rotate around, get into a spot where he could bring out the damage, and there was a big 4-on-1, and Wolfjo just fell.
Of course, the most important part for playing Ducks is now to try and get some damage done with the Punisher. The objective for Trick is going to be to just wait behind that wall, provide some vision for the Punisher to bait it over, and then you can easily take it down with the help of the fort. That's the most important part for them now. Try to minimize the damage the Ducks can do with Punisher #1. And yeah, the Ducks are even trying to delay it for as long as they can here, so they're not taking the last point. And Trick isn't really willing to commit anybody to that Shrine now to force the Playing Ducks' hand. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic where all of a sudden the Ducks are just saying, yeah, we can wait this out, there's no trouble, no rush.
It's a curious dynamic that we've been seeing more often in Playing Duck games. We've had a lot of teams actually just ignore them on the Shrines.
I have never seen it to that extent, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's interesting that it continues to happen. We'll have to actually let's take a note of that. We can ask the interviewer what they think about this moment that is actually happening in this battleground.
One of the things is really that normally what you see is the other team just sending one of the heroes in, starting to take a few minions, and then the opponent is forced to claim the last one. But Trick has simply said, you know what? They don't really care. And now we're actually seeing just that fight continuing. Earlier level 7 for Trick. Finally, Alex is moving into the shrine. Noah moves back out. They don't care at all.
They don't. They just want to get to level 10 here, get their certification, Odin, everything. They enjoy their team fights at 10 that does become available for Trick Esports. So if they don't want to finish the Shrine phase and push in their forts, Trick Esports is fine with it. Playing Ducks finally does finish out that Shrine by grabbing that last minion, and now will push into the forts.
Follow through is being used now as well, and the focused attack on Sonya, so going all out on the auto attack damage. Mortar Punisher is finally moving in, but with that wall opened a bit earlier, this is gaining real value for the Ducks. So grabbing that camp for the playing Ducks worked extremely well, and they got a ton of value out of Punisher number 1.
Caldor, though, look at the bottom lane. They're just ignoring Falstad. Falstad just took a fort.
Yeah. Eternal is having fun. Very little to add here. Falstad just makes sure that they get some value out of this too. So they are still even in experience. Punisher might have gotten more value than we originally assumed. But as you said, Falstad just doesn't care and is currently AFK on the bot lane and just simply takes one wave after another.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. Look at playing Ducks. What is their one hero that actually can go to a lane by themselves? It's Nande, but he's only in the top lane, so playing Ducks made a play for the fort at the top right, just wanted to trade. But Trick Esports answers right away, so a bit of an odd call overall. It's one that can make sense due to their lineup, but Eternal just happily keeps pushing here. He's even moving in towards Keep Wall.
Eternal is just like moving. He's having a completely easy day at this point. Nobody even goes for him. I mean, even at this point, he was afraid and he moved back with a Hearthstone, but he just, I don't know, he just doesn't have to do anything. I want to put a quick highlight again and emphasis on the way that he just did that. He Hearthstone back, and instead of doing what a lot of people still do, flying into lane, he just walked into the lane. Do you actually call it walking at this point? I mean, he can't really walk.
Maneuvering.
Waltzing.
Skipping along.
Skips along, okay. So, yeah, looking good doing it. So he did not burn his cooldown on the global. And that's the most important part, because now he can still set up ganks if there's an opportunity somewhere.
And surprisingly, with that fort taken out, and the playing Ducks even grabbing their first shrine, Tricked Esport is the one to grab level 10 due to proper rotations, getting 2 waves in the bottom lane. That experience lead that you just saw Falstad grab meant so much here for Tricked Esport. Now, the Shrine phase does pop up, and even though 10 still hits you if they're playing Ducks, they're still better when it comes to Shrine control. So Tricked Esport now is going to show their hand. How do they handle this composition that the playing Ducks has drafted?
Cocoon being used, and the Ducks decide to go in favor of Wrath of the Berserker. So they're playing at this point not this all-out we need to kill someone game, especially since they saw Sanctification. So this is one of the things that definitely influences also the talent choice. They had the option to go into lead, but once that they see a Tyrael with Sanctification and the Falstad with a Mighty Gust plus Cocoon on an Uberrock, they realize right away this is not going to work out the way we intended to, so they go into the Wrath of the Berserker, which was always a decent option for the Shrine control, but this is the fight that we've been waiting for. Big advantage for Trick, though, is that camp that is currently pushing the mid lane.
Yep, mid lane pushing, bottom lane also stacking up itself. Trick Esport will take their time here on the right, grabbing whatever they can here. Finally, Wrath being popped up. Nande will be escaping from Crosby as he steps forward to apply some damage, while Sport Billy on the bottom left pops a shield.
Crosby not using it all just yet. No Odin thus far. Chris moves in up at the first. Nande still holding those minions, taking them down one after another as Eternal and Rema push in the wave and start to join up on the fight itself. Again, Johanna going deep, but immediately we have Odin popped on the side of Crosby.
Rimmer decides to go for the engage. Crosby with the Odin now starts to move forward, auto-attacking here. Gonna have our teams tied out. Tyrael, though, gets Twilight Dream, which means he's gonna be focused down. Playing Ducks get their first kill.
Ducks with the kill and immediately moving back onto the shrine, and Trick Esports retreats. With the death of Tyrael, you're still in the position where you can make some plays happen. This is the one hero you want to lose in a fight. The problem is they did not gain anything out of it, so they couldn't go for a counter kill. That was the biggest problem they had. Falstad, on the other hand, rotated all the way down to the bot lane once that started, and now he can still put some pressure onto that gate at the keep, but this time he's going to get some company. Johanna starting to make her way over.
Yep, Johanna heads down to clear out that lane so she can stop losing her keep wall, but the rest of playing Ducks march forward in the top lane. Going for the keep, the Punisher will jump on over. Alex the Progi is here to defend, so the playing Ducks will grab what little damage they can, but will retreat for the moment.
So both of the teams actually doing a really nice job in this game. We have there's not really a lot of fighting happening, mostly over the objectives right now, but 1 kill against 1, so it's nothing too crazy. But with level 12 versus level 12, both of them at roughly the same rate start to head into level 13 talents now.
13 talents right around the corner. As you just mentioned, we're going to have Sonya in the middle. And overall, in terms of map control, Playing Ducks ahead by 1 fort. They got the middle fort and the top fort, and they've tied out an experience with their pickoff. So both teams really even. In terms of actual compositions as we move to the late game, though, Keldor, which one do you say starts to shine?
I really want to say that one of the things that's going to be tricky for the Ducks later on could be the season marksman on the side of Falstad, because Falstad had a very good time getting those stacks up. We are already looking at 30 stacks at this point, not even 10 minutes into the game, and that's because he was more or less alone on lane. Didn't really get any out of those from team kills and setups, but now that he has picked up Giant Killer, that's going to make it a bit rougher for heroes like Johanna. Nice move here, the attempt to steal the camp away. Sanctification in the background, Lucio popping his ult as we're seeing Trick going deep for Wolfjo.
Wolfjo low, the shield comes out. Does he have his ice block available? Wolfjo low on health, he does use it at the last second. Tyrael chasing him down though with his trait value comes in. Malfurion falls.
Malfurion falls, a stun attempt against Johanna, but the Iron Skin is popped, and thanks to that, Crisplosion is able to move out. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but Playing Ducks walk away with a camp.
They walk away with the camp. They get a trade for a 1-for-1 there. So we're going to have some pressure in the middle. Falstad did rotate in, so the fly is down for about another 15 seconds. But with the next Punisher spawning at the very bottom in the next 20 seconds here, we're going to have all members available for both teams.
Falstad is doing an exceptional job soaking experience and pushing these lanes. Just to give you guys a bit of an idea, the highest contributing hero to experience on the side of the Playing Ducks is Sonya with 7,500. For Trick, we have 12,500 on Falstad. That's because he's just always there. And he still is joining the team fights, as we can see right here. The kill against Sonya, but Falstad himself is locked down. Crisplosion wants to take him down, does so. The bird falls, but we have the Cocoon still in play. Remaballer with a stun attempt. Nanda is moving out with the Sonya. Did not get stunned out. That was a bit of an issue there that he used that early against Gul'dan.
Yeah, the 1-for-1 overall for both their teams, which means Playing Ducks can move in and start fighting themselves. Now, losing out Zarya does hurt. That makes the Nubrak much better for the dive-in. So Trick Esport will keep an eye out for their aggressive play on the Playing Ducks. Playing Ducks, for now, are hoping to stutter the actual grab of the Shrine Face.
What you just said is also so true. Zarya being out of the mix makes it harder for Nubarak. And the reason is, normally when a Nubarak dives in, you can use your ult behind him, and all of a sudden he's isolated. So he has a lot more wriggle room once that Zarya is out of the mix or has used her ult. It's very tricky for Nubarak to just dive the backline and get isolated here. You just won't be able to survive long enough if that happens. Here comes the Horrify though. The fight is starting once again. Sanctus around, but Lucio is falling. They try to turn it around. The Cocoon is once again on the ground, and immediately Nanda with a whirlwind is going in, trying to clear it. And everyone on the side of the Ducks able to move away as that Punisher is moving towards the wall at the keep to the bot lane.
It's a trap. Playing Ducks set up that bottom left side for Tricky Sport to walk into. Obviously, they've seen him in the past go for that aggressive play, and they get the pick on Lucio, which gives them the opportunity to deal with the Punisher in the bottom left that is pushing into their keep wall. Trick Esport will take the opportunity to move into a different location, though. They head in the middle lane. They push in their own fort here. They are going to get 16 off those towers, and maybe more as they dive in Nande.
Yeah, they go deep here. Once again, Punisher is already on the keep
Explosion.
itself. Expulsion zone. Alex jumps out, though, just before the rest of the spells hit. Apparently a bit of an issue on the side of the Playing Ducks with a quick pause here by Chris, but overall, the game is looking pretty strong here. We have 4 kills against 3. We have both of the teams having very even fights. I would say a bit of momentum picked up by Trick Esports, but nothing that the Playing Ducks so far can't handle. So it's a very even game.
Yeah, they've been handling it well. The only major issue here for the Playing Ducks is that keep in the bottom left. The Punisher got it down to about half health. If I'm looking quickly, it's got about a quarter health in there. So there is an open opportunity in the bottom left for the Trick Esport team to get a kill or two and go for aggressive play and get catapult pressure on that bottom lane, which will be instrumental, especially because they have Falstad, who already throughout the entire match has been left alone by the Playing Ducks.
I really feel the macro game for Tricked is currently a bit stronger. The team fights are very scary. We've seen how much of an impact Horrify can have. Gurgan is doing work here, and Chris is doing this extremely well. When the Horrify comes in, especially if these ganks are being set up, it's just so difficult for Tricked to keep these heroes alive. Even with the Sanctification being around, we saw Lucio die, and then the fight turned immediately against Tricked. So Tricked is playing a good macro game, but they will have to fight team fights later on, and this is where the Ducks are shining right now.
Well, you at home, stay tuned. We'll be right back with the conclusion of this series right after a commercial break.
I once ruled Ashul Nerub. Then came a war I could not win. I was forced into servitude. But here, in this strange place, no one commands my power. I will conquer the Nexus. Those who oppose me shall embrace the web of death. I am a Nubarak. I ruled once before. I shall rule again.
So I'm joined by Tony Sue. We're going to play some, I wanted to say ninjas, but we're actually playing heroes, and I'm playing a ninja.
Ninjas and Panda.
You might have heard I'm probably the best Genji EU at the moment. Actually,
I think I'm number 2, actually. But.
Well, I don't know about that, but... All right, boss time, yo.
So the awesome thing about the boss is he is a gigantic samurai robot. He's got a really cool kama. He has this lantern, or he's got a big... little ball of chain at the other end that he makes a big fire and kills a bunch of people with.
Actually, gonna solo that boss.
Wait, yeah, no, you probably shouldn't. He's gonna eat you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got your back. Go for it.
Oh my, I don't know about that.
Would a panda lie to you? I don't think so.
They don't seem trustworthy, to be honest.
Yeah. He just ate you again.
Can we?
Yeah. No. Really
So
funny
funny.
pro tip that happened as we were playing one of our games. The enemy team tried to gank someone that was running solo, and what they did is they engaged the boss, making the boss swallow them, and the enemy team couldn't kill them because they were inside, and that gave their team enough time to get there and then re-engage and then win the team fight.
All right, how he just killed me.
You're
Where was that heal?
number 2 Genji
Where was
now.
that heal?
That heal?
That heal.
Lucio was, yeah, I think he was AFK.
Yeah, but what about you?
What about me? I'm a panda. Panda life.
I don't know.
I'm a little panda, short and stout.
We just saw Hanamura being played there. Gosh, you guys actually did the show on Tuesday. It was a wonderful show. Diva coming to the game eventually, but the best part was definitely the set, man. Those trees were fantastic. If you guys haven't had the chance here, check out the VOD. Caldor even has some sick casting going on.
It was actually really fun. If you haven't seen the VOD yet, then check it out. Not only was, of course, Diva announced, but at the same time, we were having a show match between Dignitas and Fnatic, and that was pretty cool. Dread and I were able to cast that, and it was just pretty fun to see how they started to adjust, trying to find strategies towards Hanamura. We've seen some Genji play on the side of Quadnix, on the side of Snitch as well. That was pretty cool to observe, and just how they started to approach the map and the heroes a little bit different with every and each game, learning the game as it happens. But talking about games, we're going into the game for the conclusion here, as we're having Playing Ducks fighting Tricked Esports, and at this point level 15 to 16. Just to catch you guys up a little bit, currently Tricked Esports is 1-0 in the best of 5 series. This game has been very close so far. We have seen Falstad pushing the bot lane heavily throughout the game. Punisher just did a severe amount of damage towards the Keep, which is now sitting at 50% HP, but with 43 kills that you see in team fights at least, it's still very, very even. So a super close game on map number 2.
Close game, but Trick Esport has been eking out a slight advantage. That Keep on the bottom left down to a quarter health, and if history is going to show itself again, Playing Ducks have left Ballstead uncontested in a majority of situations. Now, to be fair, they don't have a global to really contest that Ballstead, so they have to force fights, but there will be an opportunity for Eternal to make a play on the aggressive fort in the bottom left and maybe score his teams in catapults.
So far, the Ducks have done really well with those engagements, but now they have another camp pushing the bot lane, and they need to worry about that. So let's see if Tricked is actually trying to... No, okay. So one of the plays that Tricked had available to them was trying to occupy them in the mid lane and force them into a bit of a battle to just buy more time for that bottom lane camp to get extra value and maybe take down the Keep. They decided against that, and now they are just waiting as the Ducks to go for the next Shrine phase.
Next Shrine phase should be coming soon. Well, yep, Johanna just got mighty gusted into a wall here. She will pop out Iron Skin, but the Holy Ground coming out, she has nowhere to go. And Trick Esport looks to secure a kill on the warrior here, Johanna. Oh, wait a minute, straight into a bush. There we go. Should be a kill at some point. Crystplosion somehow surviving forever. In fact, to the point where Eternal is actually not going for the kill quite yet.
Yeah, they're staggering it. They're trying to delay it, because exactly for that reason. So this is a moment where Johanna needed to be more aggressive to die faster. Sounds a bit weird, but it's actually true. The problem is, yes, at the bot lane there's a fort taken in the meantime since the Ducks realized the situation. But now the next Shrine should go towards Trick Esport simply because they killed Johanna so late that thanks to the death timer they have a very big timing window where they can go on the Shrine in a 5 versus 4 situation.
Yeah, look at that, 21 seconds where they have full Shrine control without Johanna being on the map. Add about 5 to 6 more seconds because she has to rotate all the way over to the middle, and they should be able to clear it out. The Playing Ducks, knowing this, they get aggressive. They start to push down in the bottom right lane. Now, they do have to be slightly careful. They can't overstay their welcome due to Mighty Gust being on the field.
So, now at the bot lane, one of the things is, of course, that the Ducks could have tried to force maybe a battle, just like in a situation with that Keep, as long as they have vision on other heroes on the map. But this is one of the moments when you try to play with the vision as much as you can to just leave your opponent in the dark. Johanna is back, but that's a 30 minion advantage nearly on the side of Trick Esports. So that's a pretty good lead. And the Playing Ducks, they will have to fight a very explosive battle if they want to take this. And this is exactly where Odin comes into play. As we said in the draft, they are just trying to take the Shrine control and secure this Punisher.
Yep, the explosions from Crosby helping out, clearing out the Shrine. Now, the good news for the Playing Ducks is they move in for that aggressive play, and they do force Odin, which does mean that shouldn't be available so they can defend their Keep, which is probably the biggest priority at this point to defend. For now, though, Trick Esports moves forward. Big engage. Crystplosion will pop his Iron Skins, getting shields as well on the left side here. The rest of the team focusing down the fort. There is lockdown on Crystplosion, though.
Holy Ground being used. Iron Skin being popped. The healer is in. Crystplosion trying to turn it around. Still surviving. The fort is down, though. The Punisher moving in. They try to bait him over the wall once again, successfully, of course, trying to burst him down. But we have Tricked working on that wall, attempting to at least drop the towers. Nanda and Chris are pushing out aggressively to secure those, at least for now. But Tricked walks away with a half-level lead and a few structures taken apart.
It's so difficult to push into this Goldan here with that Horrify being available and him dropping in those Qs, the Fell Flames doing massive damage on a group of targets in particular. So the Trick Esport was forced to retreat away from that area, especially with Nande threatening with that Barbarian.
Yeah, once again, the camps being taken. This is one of the things that Playing Ducks has done over and over again. They try to take these camps. They are in a position where they can use the expulsion zone to just isolate someone, claim those two, but this time Tricked is ready. Tricked is starting to move in once more. They're on the camp already, attempting to take it. This time they get it, but there's the expulsion zone trying to isolate Rema. He drops the cocoon, and they're attempting to hold that a little bit longer as Alex going in with another Holy Ground. Leaves it for now. They shouldn't fight here. They really should try and wait for the 20. They find themselves in such a great spot. They can easily wait this out.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what was going on with comms there. The Holy Ground to lock down a target, missing out, and suddenly Cocoon being used. Maybe you can get Malfurion, and they potentially were arguing over what to go in for the engage, and I believe they came to the correct conclusion at the end there. Move towards level 20 here. As you just stated, They can grab it here with the experience in the middle and the bottom, and also get pressure on the map. And the moment they hit 20, start hitting that keep hard. In fact, they're already moving towards it.
Yeah, they're going towards the keep. They have Sanctification. Mighty Gust is back in 14 seconds. They are doing really well with this. They have to clean the camps afterwards, but they are actually pushing towards that core. And they have Sanctification. They have Sanctification and they have Cocoon in a few seconds. So if there's a late reaction from the Ducks, they could burst down the core, but the Ducks are fast enough to force them back. But this is actually a scary moment, because if you take damage away from the core, then all of a sudden you can drop the Sank and you can just finish it off.
Yeah, I think the major worry there is do they have enough damage to actually kill a core if they drop the Sanctification? I think the major play overall, just get your playing Ducks to get on their side of the battleground so you can get aggressive on the Shrine phase that's activating now in the next 5 seconds. And Tricky Sport will move over. At this point, playing Ducks are going to be forced for the next couple of seconds to defil into the middle lane, which means they're all grouped together, which gives Tricky Sport the time they set up.
Massive play there also by Fawcett, making sure they just moved over and trying to make sure that Sonya could not take the camp. That was actually really big, because if she takes the camp, then the keep is going to be attacked by 2 camps. They needed to make sure that they are just denying this. If they don't, they have to spend more time over defending, where the playing Ducks can get 20 and a lead on the Shrine itself. Right now the situation is that both teams are still on the same level, on the same talent, and now we're going to have that head-to-head fight. But the bot lane is already pushing hard.
Tricky Sport needs to delay this as long as they can. They even pop Odin, because again, as you mentioned, the bottom lane is pushing, which means catapults are getting to that core eventually here. Odin popping on the left side, Holy Ground being used here to zone out Sonya. She is using Wrath here, so she can stay alive for a while in the back left, while Chris has to play incredibly defensive on that Gul'dan.
Big red button. Where's the Horrify? Nice. There's the Horrify. Down goes Falstad. Lucio is also nearly eliminated. Keeps himself alive. Drops the ult. Only hits one, though. They go in again. Alex needs to be careful here. Big red button comes down. Bot lane getting pressured as catapults are aiming for the core. But Tyrael is about to fall. Tries to jump away. Chris is just waiting with his Gul'dan and obliterates him. That's a double kill in favor of the playing Ducks. Well done. And this Punisher should eventually go over to the blue team, as we have everyone else for Trick moving to that bot lane. But Johanna is already working on the pushing it.
Yep, they want to get aggressive down here to make the playing Ducks head down the bottom left. The more time they can delay that push from happening, the Punisher top and the right, they can defend their keep. The Frost will be up in 20 seconds, and they'll have a Mighty Gust. So that slight aggressive play to the bottom left, bringing a few players back from the playing Ducks, does slow down the rotations overall. Now, the playing Ducks want to move forward. They want to get a keep here. Get that counter pressure going with the catapults in the top.
Screw the keep. If they can get a kill, they can go core maybe.
That's true, yeah.
So they have Horrify up in another 13 seconds at this point. This is dangerous for Trick. They have Tyrael down for another 10 seconds. That should be enough to make the play for the keep. You could see how they already Hearthstone just started the animation in the process, because they weren't quite sure if Trick is trying to go for a backdoor again. Since they see the heroes in the middle, they immediately cancelled and now try to go for the keep. Good bait into the middle. Punisher is now being stuck in the mid lane, but there we have the keep eliminated. And this is the Ducks starting to make a play. They try to look for a kill, but we have also Gul'dan in a bit of trouble. Mouth already using the silence. Horrify being used as well.
Nonit is on the core, focusing it down. The Punisher about to be popped off, but with Malfurion falling here, no healer available for the playing Ducks. Nape attempting to survive here. The core is starting to fall, 60% for the moment. Sonya has still a decent amount of health available to her, especially with those shields, and the playing Ducks make the call, and they get it. They tie up the series 1-1.
The Ducks go for the core. The Punisher nearly taking down Falstad. Eternal flying around, gasting Sonya out because she was the biggest threat to the core, but it was just not enough. Well played here. Once again, well done by the Ducks. And you could really argue that they were a bit behind in that game. They were always trying to keep up with Trick, but Trick always going for slight, tiny advantages. And then that one call for the core, just realizing, guys, this is the Punisher, this is our moment. We have the Horrify available, you have all the tools, Malfurion with the silence, and Sonya with that burst damage on the structures. Let's go in and take this game, and now we have a tight series.
Yeah, playing Ducks definitely had a more straightforward approach to this battleground with the wave clear, pushing in, attempting to make sure to clear out the shrines, where the Tricky Sport team, they had a bit more of a surgical approach. And you're right, they did carve out a great lead in the mid and the almost late game, but it just did not pan out all the way there with that last Punisher and the big aggressive push and the last team fight. It all really stacked up there for the Playing Ducks. Let's go back to game number 3 as soon as this commercial finishes up. This is the HGC.